We're gonna learn our vocabulary words, and don't laugh, I'm really short. I realized I put my words too high, so you can only see this part of my head, but before I zoomed it in even more, and you could only see my eyeballs. So I figured you guys would at least think it's funny. But let's go over our new words. These are your words for this week. Acknowledge, acknowledge, to admit, to be true, to confess. If someone says you need to acknowledge what you've done is wrong, or when you're saying sorry, you are admitting that you were in the wrong. And that's hard to do sometimes, not to acknowledge something. Your parents might say, you need to acknowledge me. That means you need to look at them in the eyes and say, yes, sir, or yes, ma'am, instead of, you need to acknowledge. That is to admit to be true. You see the word knowledge in there. So, the next one is conceited. Conceited. If you are conceited, it means you're prideful or vain. You know, someone that is always checking themselves out in the mirror, or someone that is saying, oh, I was the fastest, I was the best, I'm the best at this, I'm the best at everything, I'm the best at math, I am the fastest runner, I am the best speller. That is someone that is conceited. We need to work on not being conceited, prideful, or vain. The next word is a custodian. A custodian is a janitor, like a cleaner. So at your school, you have someone who is a janitor. They're the person who cleans, and that's the custodian. Next is emerge. Emerge is to come into view, okay? So if you're emerging, you are coming into view. Emerge. The next word is grimy. If you say, get your grimy paws off of me. Grimy is to be smudged all over with dirt. Maybe you have a plate or a glass at home and you've used it, and when you get done you look at it and it is all grimy, okay? Your hands are very grimy. You need to make sure you wash them. When I think of grimy, I think of someone who works with cars, and you know when they get all that black oil or grease on their hands, that's grimy. Scarcely is the next word. Scarcely means almost, did not, or barely. If you said, phew, I scarcely got my homework in on time, that means you barely did it. Barely did it on time. So scarcely is barely. If you said, I scarcely have enough food left, that means barely. Surge is to rush forward. Okay, so I have a table in my way, so I cannot rush forward. But if you, you know when you run up to someone and you're surging. So surge is to rush forward, and emerge is to go from disappearing to coming into view. That's emerge. And surge is to rush forward. Okay? Or if you've gotten a surge of energy, you're like, ah! That's a surge. Now the last one is survey, and to survey something is to inspect it carefully. They actually have this as a job. You can be a surveyor, where you inspect the land and the lines and property, because sometimes people will fight over property. Maybe their grandma said, this is your land, honey, but maybe in the papers that outline the land that the county owns, it might say that's not exactly your land. So surveying, they go out and they inspect the land. Survey, to inspect carefully. Okay, so let's go over them. Acknowledge, to admit, to be true, to confess. Conceited, prideful, vain. You have custodian. I forgot to bring my broom up here. The custodian is janitor. Emerge, to come into view. Grimy, smudged all over with dirt. scarcely, hardly, or barely, and search is to rush forward, and survey is to inspect carefully. Go over those. I made a copy of those in your document for Google Classroom, so you can look at those, and our quiz will be next week. See you